169.
The defense behind Scotty Garrett's exactly the same defense that was behind him in Game 1 in Wrigley Field. Jerome Walton, Kevin Mitchell, Butler, and Sheridan in the outfield. Williams, Uribe, Thompson, Clark on the infield. Terry Kennedy does the pitching. 3 games so far in this series. There have been but 4 errors, so defensively it has been a decently played game.
Off speed, and that missed the outside corner. Check swing. 1 ball and no strikes.
Jim Quick, the umpire, behind the plate tonight. And on the very first pitch, you can see Scotty Garrett's trying to establish his curveball. It's a thing he was not able to do in Game number 1 in Chicago.
2 balls and no strikes.
He struggled early in Chicago. And the reason he just could not get his breaking ball over, he's been very effective at the end of the season for San Francisco. Throws hard. He will throw in the mid-90s, and when he gets his breaking ball over, he's tough.
Popped it up on the right side. Robbie Thompson.
The sun a little bit more factor here in this game number 4 than it has been the first game here in San Francisco. You see the sun in right field. In the game last night, just about game time, the shadow was almost all the way to the fence in right field. There's the outfielder's view of what it looks like from center field. And the shadows that you can see last night, they were almost all the way back to the warning track.
Here is Ryne Sandberg in the first inning at Wrigley Field with 1 out. Sandberg doubled, and with 2 out, Mark Grace homered as the Cubs tried to come back after the Giants had scored 3 for Garrelts. Breaking ball missed, ball 1, 1-0. Sandberg has hit in all 8 league championship games that he has played in, going back to 1984. Good breaking ball on the corner, 1-1.
We were talking about Ryne Sandberg loving to hit the fastball, and you can see his reaction, how he genuflects on that curveball. He does not like to swing at the curveball. He has not had a decent swing against the curveball the entire series. There it is.
And another one.
Another one. Boy, it's just as obvious as you can be, isn't it?
1-2 the count to Ryne Sandberg.
Here's Sandberg's stance. You can see the curveball and how he shies away from the ball. And that can mean a couple of things. Garrelts could really have a dandy.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The count to Ryne Sandberg. 1 out in the first inning. We're just starting. So pull up a chair for Game 4. The Cubs down 2 games to 1 and playing in the Lions' Den here at Candlestick. Breaking ball hit in the air to left field. Going out is Uribe. Down the line is Mitchell, and it's going to land because Mitchell never got a jump on the ball. If anything, started to go back. On this powder blue sky, Mitchell had no idea how hard that ball was hit. And you never see a shortstop go that far down the line unless the left fielder is completely out of the play. Down the line unless the left fielder is completely out of the play. So Sandberg gets a gift double to left.
I think you're exactly right, Vinny. I don't think there's any way that Kevin Mitchell saw that ball initially, and then by the time he got there, he knew that Jose Uribe was certainly in the area, didn't want to run over the top of him. It could have been the Uribe was calling him off, knowing that he wasn't going to get there. I don't think he saw it off the bat.
So Dwight Smith now trying to take advantage of it. Ryne Sandberg has been the first inning spark plug. Fastball whacked into right field, base hit. Here comes Sheridan's throw, and they're going to hold Sandberg on a great throw by Pat Sheridan. With Mark Grace coming up, Chuck Kettier coaching at third also wisely opted to stop Sandberg because Grace swings a very big bat against Scott Garrelts.
Dwight Smith, Mike, like many young hitters, first ball fastball hitter. There you see the aggressiveness of Pat Sheridan getting to the ball. That's what really held Sandberg at third. Cartier saw how quickly Sheridan was getting to the ball. The ball hit very sharply to him. Decided to hold him at third with Grace coming up.
Grace 7 for 10 against Garrelts, including a home run. And in the first game, went 3 for 3 with a home run against Scotty Gerelts. And you may remember one of the great single at-bats in this series when Scotty Gerelts and Mark Grace went head-to-head for 12 pitches. 2-0.
And as they have done, they're pitching them away, playing them away. Kevin Mitchell way over in left field. Butler on the left field side in center field. If Grace is going to hit it out, he's going to have to hit it out to left field. That's generally what you can tell by looking at the outfield defense.
Down and away, 3-0 the count to Mark Grace. And on deck, Andre Dawson. Dawson with 1 hit last night, and it came in the first inning to drive in 2 runs. And he's waiting for a chance to come up with a full plate. 3-0. And they let him swing, line to right. Sheridan for the catch. Sandberg is coming to throw. He scores. Close play. Terry Kennedy unable to hold and do a great throw by Pat Sheridan. Take another look.
Just a slight double clutch by Sheridan. A good throw. He just didn't quite get a handle on it on the first go into the glove. And a good slide by Sandberg right underneath Kennedy at home plate. This is not an easy play for Sheridan. A very tough right field, sun field. You can see Sandberg coming down the line to go right underneath him, right into the bag. A good call by Jim Quick at home plate. Even if he had held on to the ball, I believe he would have been safe at home plate. But that was an excellent play by Sheridan right field.
Remember, they let Mark Grace swing 3 balls and no strikes. The Giants appealing, claiming that Sandberg had left third too soon, but it was disallowed. Dwight Smith, who was unable to take second on the throw to the plate that held Sandberg, unable to take second on the throw to the plate on the ball hit by Grace. So here's Dawson. Foul back, 0-1. 1-0 in favor of Chicago as the Cubs continue to pile up first inning runs. You can see Kennedy trying to block with the left shin guard, but he couldn't keep him out of there. The Cubs have now scored 11 runs in the first inning in the 4 games. 0-1 to Dawson.
The step off to check to see if Smith is going to do anything at first, and maybe he is giving anything away. You would think Zim would do something here. He has been aggressive the entire series when he's been able to. Time called. Yeah, Zim has put on the running place. He's put on hit and run. He has put on the steal. Try to do as much to utilize the team speed that he has to put any pressure that he can on the Giants.
0-1 to Andre Dawson. And that gets away from Kennedy. Smith finally picks up the side and moves down to second base. Remember, the big problem was the fly ball to left field on which Kevin Mitchell had no jump, never saw the ball, and by the time he picked it up, it was a gift double. Otherwise, the inning should be over. But it's 1-0 Chicago with a chance to get some more. And Roger Craig now coming out in front of his dugout, gesturing to plate umpire Jim Quick.
Roger questioning something. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe a count? Not sure exactly what the account.
To right field. Sheridan squinting up into that sun on the track to pick it off. For the Cubs, 1 run, 2 hits, 1 left, and we're underway at Candlestick Park. First inning, the Giants with Butler, Thompson, and Clark, Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy, Sheridan, Uribe, and Gerelts, and Greg Maddox staked to a 1-0 lead, ready to go in the bottom of the first inning. The 19-game winner who lost game 1 to Gerelts and the Giants. Ball 1 to Brett Butler. Butler 3 for 12, has scored 4 times in the series. Always a threat to bunt. And again, Salazar and Grace have to shorten up at the corners. 1-1. Last night we saw two pitchers get in a lot of trouble because they couldn't make the defensive play. Mike Lacoste and Rick Sutcliffe. Maddox is a very good fielder. Good breaking ball. 1-2. 4 times this year Maddox was knocked out of a game very early. And his second game following that bad start, he pitched pretty well, and in 2 of those 4 he pitched very well. We'll see what all that means tonight. Curveball hit to the right side to Sandberg. 1 away.
Maddox is pitching on 3 days rest, remember, from game number 1 in Wrigley Field in Chicago, but he threw just 89 pitches. He was extremely nervous in that game number 1. He's 23 years old, very difficult to handle the first taste of postseason pressure, and he really felt it.
Last night's hero, Robbie Thompson, who hit that 2-run home run against Les Lancaster. Fastball for a strike. Remember, going in, the Cubs' strategy was to keep the top 2 hitters in the Giant lineup off the bases. It is very obvious in the 2 games the Giants have won, the top 2 hitters have been on the bases. The game they lost, they were shut down.
We have a little ground crew problem, it looks like, down the third base line.
Couple of heavyweights visiting, going after that ball.
Knocking fences down.
What's this? I mean, there's a little Aberdupois leaning over that railing. Golly.
I tell you, Filippelli and Rosenberg, they get every shot and every replay, don't they?
0-2 to Robbie Thompson. That's about a 5 on the Richter scale. Fastball. 1-2. You joined us late. A fly ball lost by Kevin Mitchell for a double, a single by Dwight Smith, and a scoring fly ball by Mark Grace. And the Cubs have taken a 1-0 lead. Waiting on deck, Will Clark. Two balls, 2 strikes. 3-2.
Be interesting to see what happens here. Robbie Thompson, dead fastball hitter. He runs the count to 3-2. What are you going to throw him? Go back with another breaking ball or the fastball?
Fastball missed. Well, it is a bull market, this Pacific Stock Exchange, and here's the first of the 2 horns. Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell back to back. Boy, you talk about a left hook and a right cross. And Clark bangs it to center. Base hit. Thompson is going to go to third. Walden's throw cut off by Dunston.
The beautiful swing of Will Clark going right up the middle. Not a bad pitch, down and away. There's nothing that he can do with that other than a single, and that's all that he tries to take. And that's why Will Clark hit 333. Another hitter would try to pull that ball and hit a ground ball on the right side. You see Thompson coming all the way around. Bill Fahey telling him to get down. Boy, another typical first inning of a National League Championship Series, the way it's been every game so far.
So Will Clark at first, Robbie Thompson at third, 1 out, and Kevin Mitchell at the plate. Cubs leading 1-0. Fastball for a strike. 0-1. Where the Cubs have scored 11 runs in their first innings, the Giants have scored 6 in their first prior to tonight. Mitchell during the year had 7 scoring fly balls. Missed the corner. 1-1.
Maddox's first 2 pitches trying to stay away from Kevin Mitchell. The worst thing that you want is the 3-run home run in this situation. You might give up a run for an out if you can. There's the slow-mo of the pitch, and the pitch outside caught by Rona. Why not to give something to Kevin Mitchell down and in where he can extend those arms. Tremendous power if you let him extend from the middle of the plate in down in the hitting zone.
Fake to third, a look at first. Mitchell has had this kind of a year. He's been intentionally walked in the first inning. He's been intentionally walked representing the winning run on base in the 9th inning. He was intentionally walked 3 times in 1 game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball chopped to third. The play is to second, and a double clutch by Salazar. He didn't get the ball out of his glove right away, and they lost the double play because of it, and we have a 1-1 tie.
Mitchell does not run extremely well, and in order for the Cubs to be able to get the double play on a ball that was chopped, there's really no margin for error because the ball was hit in a choppy fashion down to third base, and just the double clutch by Salazar prevented the double play.
Matt Williams a strike, and the count 0-1. Will Clark, who bruised his knee in a collision with Dodger catcher Mike Scioscia near the end of the year, and that knee and shin area has been bothering him ever since, and obviously hurting him yet again. 0-1. On the fists, hit down to Grace, a busted bat, the out at first, and the fence is down again off third. So they got a ball. Now they were dodging a bat, and this ain't bad for the first inning, huh? A 1-1 tie. Pick up the double play, and you tell me whether that's not interference. And you can see immediately Sandberg pointing, saying, hey, he interfered with me. Well, Clark has paid a price as he limps back to the dugout, but he also saved a run for the Giants. And we have a 1-1 tie in the 2nd inning.
Judgment call on the umpires. They fixed the wall down that outside the Chicago Cub dugout. The umpire at second base, Randy Marsh, a judgment call in that sense was Will Clark trying to interfere with Sandberg, or was he trying to get a knee out of his face? Like Doug Harvey said yesterday in a couple of calls that we had in the game, it's really something that has to be made immediately, and that's how the decision stands, because it is strictly not an interpretation of the rule, but a judgment call from the umpire.
It was such a wild first inning. Here's the broken bat on the pitch to Matt Williams. A huge sliver will go flying over to the VIP seats. Grace quietly goes about his business and steps on the bag. But like Jericho, the walls come tumbling down yet again. Man overboard. Boy, I tell you, there's some heavyweights over there knocking that wall down and having a good time about it, too. Second inning, Luis Salazar in a 1-1 tie. Salazar, Dunston, and Rona in that order. Salazar hitting .364. He's had a good series. Fouled right into Kennedy. Boy, that shook him up. 2-1. I guess it was the great Mo Berg who once referred to them as the tools of ignorance, the badge of courage as well. 2-1. Fastball hit to straightaway center. Butler going back, away back to the track, to the wall. It is gone. Home run, Salazar. Remember, Scotty Garrelts in the first game uncharacteristically gave up home runs to Grace and Sandberg. Now he gives one up to Salazar, and it's 2-1 Chicago.
And there have been 23 extra base hits in this series. I asked Elliot Kalb, our Mr. Stats up here in the booth, to do some homework for us.
Oh, the fans
they threw it back. There have been 23 extra base hits in this series, and there's only been one extra base hit of the 10 home runs when the hitter has been behind in the count. Every other time, as we take another look at Salazar, hit that ball a long way to center field. Every other time we have had an extra base hit, meaning a home run, triple, or a double, the hitters have been ahead in the count, or at least even 3-2. One of the things that has occurred in this series is that the pitchers have continually been behind. I talked to Dick Pohl, the pitching coach for the Chicago Cubs. I saw him before the game. I said, "What's up?" He said, "High fastballs," and they've been up the entire series.
0-1 the count is Sean Dunston. 2-1 Chicago, second inning. 1 ball, 1 strike. I remember years ago going to Japan, and the Japanese fan would always return the foul balls, and people were always amazed at that. That takes care of Dunston. Now in Japan, the fans have learned to keep the foul balls, but suddenly with the rivalry between Chicago and San Francisco, if the opposition hits one out, you throw it back in. And the batter will be Rick Rona. Rona caught Maddox in the first game and had a tough at-bat against Garrelts, striking out twice. 0-1. One of those at-bats you may remember came in the second inning after Salazar tripled. Dunston struck out, and then Rona struck out, and they wound up leaving Salazar. At the time, that would have tied up game one. 0-2 the count to Rona. Greg Maddux on deck. So Garrelts has struck him out 3 times.
Here you see the slow-mo of the curveball. You can see the fingers coming over the top of the ball and how it tumbles away. Kennedy set up outside, having protect against 2 strikes. Good pitch right in the corner. There's no way that you can really do much with it. The best shot you have is trying to foul it off.
1 ball and no strikes to Greg Maddux. Greg, a good hitter during the regular year. A chopper to the left of Uribe. That'll be that. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 swing by Luis Salazar, and it's 2-1 Chicago. And to start it off, breaking ball away. Walden popped up to the right side, 0 for 1. Remember, earlier this year he had a 30-game hitting streak, and the Cubs are hoping he'll catch fire. He drives one to left field. Mitchell going back on the track at the wall to pick it off. Long out to left, 1 away.
The difference of the 2 ballparks, this ball hit by Walton in Wrigley Field in Chicago, if the wind's blowing out just a little bit, you can call it a home run. You can see the flags in center field, straight down, just a 2-mile-an-hour plus blowing around on the inside of this ballpark. It is absolutely gorgeous in San Francisco.
Ryne Sandberg with a fly ball lost by Mitchell and dropped for a double. Big breaking ball, and he couldn't hold up. So Sandberg has hit in all 9 league championship games in which he has played. Dwight Smith on deck. 1-1.
I think Roger Craig has seen Ryne Sandberg get enough fastballs in the strike zone. 2 curveballs here, lots of curveballs his first time up. Or else is going to feed him a lot of breaking balls.
There's another one, and that's in there. 1-2. Scotty Garrelts was on the disabled list for the Giants for 2 weeks in July with a strained left hamstring. He hurt it while running out a triple against the Cubs. And the breaking ball got him swinging. So Sandberg doesn't look like the same hitter, one breaking ball after another.
Well, the key, of course, is getting the breaking ball over. Being able to throw it for a strike where you can keep throwing the breaking ball. What's been happening in this game as we see the slow-mo of the fingers, see the fingers just on the side and the ball breaking away from Sandberg, a big differential in speed. The curveball about 80 miles an hour. Garrelts throws a fastball in the low 90s.
For good measure, he throws a split finger as a change. And he's working now on Dwight Smith away. 2 balls and no strikes. Smith, a sharp single to right field in the first inning. Hit it so hard, Sandberg could only go to third. 3-0.
What's been happening a lot in this series is the hitter's been getting behind. You see the scouting report, not a good breaking ball hitter. Like many young hitters, a good fastball hitter will want to hit against the fastball early in the count because they don't want to go deep into the count and have to swing against the breaking ball.
Big at-bat for him with 2 out and Grace on deck, and he has won the battle. And anytime he can give Mark Grace a chance to swing the bat against Scott Garrelts, that's a successful at-bat for Dwight Smith. So the 2-out walk gives Grace yet another chance. Mark hit that line drive at Pat Sheridan in the first inning and picked up the RBI barely as Sandberg was able to just beat Sheridan's throw and the drop tag by Terry Kennedy. So Grace is still 7 for 10 against Scotty Garrelts. With 2 out, it's a question of what Zimmer wants. Does he want to keep Will Clark on the bag, or does he want to turn Dwight Smith loose? Smitty stole 9 during the regular year. Short lead. Scott Garrelts, the National League earned run average leader. Cubs leading 2-1 in the third. And there he goes. The pitch is a strike. The throw not in time. Backed up by Uribe. So Zimmer obviously would rather have Smith in scoring position than just lead the hole on the right side.
One of the things Zim said that he was going to do in Chicago right before game number 1 was run against Terry Kennedy. A tough pitch to throw on. Terry kind of came around the side.
Here's an interesting point now. You know all about how Grace wears out Garrelts. Yet Andre Dawson is not hitting on deck. Are you even going to bother to pitch to him?
Right-hander to right-hander from the on-deck circle. A ball and a strike, the count. Free pass. Go to first base so I know right where you are.
Well, they're pitching to him. That breaking ball stayed up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Grace hitting .727. Breaking ball punched on the ground to Uribe, who sets for the throw. High throw. Coming to the plate is Smith. The throw. He is out. Will Clark does it again.
Uribe had plenty of time, just a high throw. Will Clark does it every time. He comes up looking and has the expectations.
Brett Butler and Robbie Thompson, that's a strike to Garrelts, who has to be feeling very chipper about things, even though he's losing. The Giants got away twice. First, they pitched to Grace, hitting over 700. Then Uribe makes an error, and they still get out of the inning. Ground ball to Dunston. Cranks it up. One away.
Here's a look at that double play ball. The third out of the inning, Uribe makes the high throw to third. If nothing else, an example of how many ways that Will Clark can beat you. Heads up all the time. It's the third time that we have seen him do this in the series. Come down and reflect. He threw to third in Chicago. He threw home to Kennedy before in Chicago, and he blocked the plate. And here he does it again. He beat you with his bat. He beat you with his arm. He beat you with his head. Always anticipating what might be the next play.
1 ball and no strikes to Brett Butler. So Will Clark figuring prominently in the Giants story all year long, and the main character right now. Fastball at the knees, 1-1. Cubs 2 runs, 3 hits. Giants 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 error charged to Uribe. Salazar on the grass. Grace has shortened up, looking bunt. Full swing, off the glove of Maddox. Off balance throw. Great save by Mark Grace. He threw it away, and that ball would have wound up down in the Giant bullpen, and Grace made a big save. So Butler's at first. He would easily have been at second.
One of the little subtleties of the game of baseball is the size and dimensions of your ballpark. Maddox is a good athlete, still trying to get the out. Butler runs extremely well. Now, Grace does not get that ball. Remember, this ballpark, see how much room there is over behind first base, over to the wall. Look, the spaciousness of this ballpark. That ball could go all the way over to where the tarpaulin is. Butler would easily had second, possibly third.
Here's Robbie Thompson with 1 out. Salazar, you would think if you just arrived in the game, it's about the 7th inning. He is so close to the bag. 2-1 Cubs, bottom of the 3rd. Butler, 31 stolen bases during the regular year, and Maddox very conscious of that. Butler has not tried to steal a base so far. In fact, the Giants have 1 stolen base, and it was Uribe. One ball, no strikes. On deck, and I'm sure if you're a Cub pitcher, you think he is always on deck, is Will Clark. Down to Grace, not in time. And the count 2 balls and no strikes to Robbie Thompson.
One of the things in this series that has been so evident is the pitchers, when they've been getting behind. Here we have a 2-0 count to Thompson. They get behind, they don't make a quality pitch. We've seen a lot of high, mediocre, aimed fastballs right about the letters to hitters when we're in the 2-0, 3-1 count. 3-2 count. There have been a lot of high pitches up in the hitting zone, not up above the strike zone, but right in the good part of the hitting zone. Pitchers have not been trying to make quality pitches. They've just been throwing pitches in those situations.
2-0 to Robbie Thompson, who walked in the first inning and came around to score the Giant run. There goes Butler. Ground ball, foul outside of third, and the count 2-1.
He did it last night when the count got to 2-0 for Robbie Thompson. He hit the ball out of the ballpark. Roger Craig, you look at Robbie Thompson, who has over 130 strikeouts. Bill Fahey, you're going to put it on again or not?
Isn't that interesting? Les Lancaster didn't know the correct count last night.
Thought the count was 3-0, threw the pitch 2-0. What Roger Craig tries to do is put Robbie Thompson in a situation where he thinks he's going to get a fastball. That's when he'll put the hit and run on.
Butler doesn't go, and it's fouled away. 2-2. I've
heard that happen before. Obviously, when pitchers will lose or forget what the count is, you play the game, it's going to happen to you somewhere along the line. I've never seen it happen with the kind of consequence that Lancaster had it last night. He thought the count was 3-0. The count, in fact, was 2-0. Bingo, a high nothing fastball, and won a ball game for the Giants.
2-2. Fastball got him looking on the outside corner.
A lot of strikeouts for the man in the number 2 position. Over 130 strikeouts on the season. He's been hitting in pretty good situation here. He's been ahead in a lot of the counts in the series. That a perfect pitch by Maddox right on the corner.
We talked about Maddox being a fine fielder and how Lacoste and Sutcliffe were hurt because they couldn't make a play. He should have made the play on the ball hit by Butler and didn't. Now let's see if it costs him, because he has to look at the extra man, Will Clark. Off speed, ball 1. Clark hit a bullet to center for a base hit in the first inning.
Clark he has that unusual setup with the weight all on his back foot, and then he strides in. When he goes to swinging, that right foot is only about 6 inches from the front plate. 4 to 6 inches. That right foot will go right toward the plate.
2-0.
He's one of the few young hitters that when he gets in the batting cage, people kind of stop what they're doing and take a look and see what his style is like, what he moves, where his hands go, where his hips go, where his feet go. Tremendous acceleration, bat speed when it gets to the hitting zone.
And he goes the other way, chasing it in the corner is Smith. It's against the fence. On his way to third is Butler, and they'll hold him. Dunston was the relay man, and was he ever ready to pull the trigger? But again, Maddox unable to handle that ball by Butler, and now he's in trouble with Kevin Mitchell coming up, and runners at second and third. Big moment now. It is 2-1 Cubs in the third. 2 out, and the first answer is they're going to put him on. They will walk Kevin Mitchell, and in a minute, Matt Williams will be the batter. Second walk given up by Greg Maddox. He's allowed 3 hits. But again, it's a case of a good fielding pitcher who might very well have handled the comebacker by Butler. Didn't do it. Gives the Giants the extra opportunity, and the good ball club that they are, they're taking advantage of it, and now they have the bases loaded. Matt Williams, coming up, has 3 grand slams in his young career. Last year, he got everyone's attention. He hit a grand slam against Nolan Ryan. This year, he hit a grand slam against Cincinnati and a grand slam against the Dodgers, and it's standing room only on the base paths and in the stands. It's going to be hit to center. That's a base hit. 1 run is in. Clark is coming to score. Giants 3, Cubs 2, and the batter is Terry Kennedy. Foul ball. Foul ball. So Matt Williams looped one into center. It wasn't one of those line drives. That's why Sandberg came up with it. Sandberg not thinking that Clark might be an easy out. Remember, Clark's got that bad leg. And Sandberg threw over to Salazar. Had Sandberg turned and perhaps thrown to the plate, they might have gotten Clark. High fly ball to center. Back goes Walton. Away back. He's got it. What a catch. So Maddox couldn't handle the ball, but Jerome Walton does. And in between, the Giants score 2 and take the lead. Wall timing his leap and getting Maddox out of a desperate situation. Terry Kennedy hit that as hard as he could, and you can see his frustration.
He had 21 home runs one year in San Diego. 5
Grays. Mark takes it to the bag, so 1 pitch and 1 away in the 4th inning. In case you weren't with us, in the 3rd inning, Dwight Smith walked, stole second, tried to score from second when Grays hit a ground ball to Uribe, who made a high throw to Will Clark. Clark whirled, fired to the plate, and Smith was out trying to beat Will's throw. And that's when he hurt his leg, we believe, and had to have a tape. The batter now, Uribe, who grounded out in the 2nd inning. One's foul. It's still Giants 3, Cubs 2, bottom of the 4th inning. The Cubs last night left 5 men in the first 5 innings. They wound up leaving 8, and they came up a buck short, even though they out-hit the Giants. Joe Girardi behind the plate for Rick Rona. 1 out in the 4th. On the corner, 0-2. Uribe followed by Scott Garrelts.
I think Greg Maddux was so nervous in game number 1, he just never could establish a release point. His left side was so active and so strong, he seemed to be throwing the ball a little bit from 8 different kinds of places. One time he'd be on top, and the next time his elbow would be down, he'd be pulling left. It is so easy to do and such a fine thing to establish every time.
1-2. Line drive down the line. Fair ball. Uribe on his way for 2. They'll hold him there.
One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was never let a number 8 hitter get a base hit off of you. Right in front of the pitcher, it gives the opposing manager something to do with the number 9 spot. The number 8 hitter is in that position because he normally is not a good offensive player. Uribe during the season hitting just .221. I had a veteran pitcher tell me, he says, you bury that number 8 place hitter.
Scott Garrelts trying to advance him, fouls it away. 0-1. A
lot of times a manager will have a sign for his hitters. Let's get him to third base any play you want to. The thing about getting Uribe to third in this situation, albeit it might be with 2 outs, remember Butler, the bunt potential with a runner at third. If it's a lot of pressure on Salazar at third base, if Garrelts can get Uribe down there.
0-1 to Scott Garrelts. Uribe at second, 1 away. A bird dog play by Dunston. The throw hits the runner, and Uribe is going to go to third. It'll be an error charge to Greg Maddux.
It looked like they had a shot at him if he'd have made a little bit quicker throw, and certainly an accurate throw. John Dunston tried to do a good decoy job. The ball just did not stay clear enough or did not bounce far enough into the outfield for Jerome Walton to get there. Uribe really didn't know where the ball was at first, and you could see Dunston trying to decoy him. The Cubs now have to play in.
We were talking before about Scotty Garrelts, and they're checking no swing in the count 1-1. So there is now pressure on Greg Maddux. Runner at third, 1 away. Check swing, no, it never touched the bat, and here comes the run.
Boy, if you're sitting in the Chicago Cub dugout and you're the manager or the pitching coach, you really feel like you've just seen a case of highway robbery. Your number 8 hitter hitting the double and scoring without even getting an out.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Maddox had committed 5 wild pitches during the year. Zimmer and his pitching coach Dick Pohl beside themselves now as the Giants take a 4-2 lead. And Pohl going to the phone. Steve Wilson was up earlier, and he'll probably want Wilson to get up again. And now he walks Gurriel. That's about as bad an inning as a 19-game winner could ever have. Give up a double to the number 8 hitter. Try to pick him off and advance him to third.
In time. I think Zim and Dick Pohl are really upset, and I don't blame them. I mean, this is the second trip. Salazar made the first trip over there, and now the catcher goes out.
For young Greg Maddux, 23 years old, a 19-game winner, the Butler. 2 Giants. Strike. 1-1. For the Cubs, to show you the feelings in their dugout, another bad outing for Greg Maddux, and yet if they stay alive and go to the 7th game, they'll probably give him the ball.
I don't think there's any question that he would get the ball. What he has done for Don Zimmer and Dick Pohl the last 2 years. Greg Maddux is pitcher number in game number 7 if it goes 7, no question.
0-2 the count to Brett Butler. So you had the classic confrontation here, the best home team in the league against the 0-2 the count. Every time Butler has had 2 strikes in the series, he's gone the other way, and Wilson dared him and came in on the knuckles. Fahey now perhaps hanging out a sign. Scott Sanderson throwing down on the Chicago bullpen. 1-2 to Butler. Grounded out and single. Big sidearm curveball to take care of him. 2 down.
Wilson was relieved in game number 1. He came in and he was really trying to spot the ball, goosing the ball up there, trying to aim it. He wasn't aggressive at all. Here he comes out of the bullpen. Remember, he gave up the home run to Kevin Mitchell in Wrigley Field. Here he came out and went strike 1, strike 2 against Brett Butler, a left-hander. Before Mitchell's home run, he had walked Will Clark. Much more aggressive tonight.
On the corner for a strike. 0-1. Of course, in all honesty, you would be more aggressive against Brett Butler than you would be against Kevin Mitchell. Butler with 4 home runs, Mitchell with 300,000.
The mistake that he made was pitching so carefully to the left-hander Will Clark with Mitchell behind him. I mean, he had a left-hander coming in to see the left-hander. That's the guy you got to get out. You have to get out Will Clark if you're left-handed and not have to pitch to Kevin Mitchell.
Robbie Thompson has walked and struck out, scored a run in the first inning. Fastball popped in the air back at first in foul ground. Grace trying to get under it and makes a swipe at it and catches it. What a fine play by Mark Grace. Tough to see the ball against that light sky. He was running out of territory, took one look at the VIP seats and made the play. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. 2 Giants. We go to the and it'll be Jerome Walden, Ryan Sandberg, and then Dwight Smith. So the Cubs got a run in the first inning, but the Giants got it back. Cubs got a run in the second. The Giants came up with 2 in the third and a big gift in the fourth and lead 4-2. Ball 1. Jerome Walden popped up, fly deep to left. Cubs have lost the momentum, so Gurriel's job is to keep it that way. And Walden trying to start it up, and he immediately singles. That's a big at-bat for him. So Walden, a line drive single to center, and that'll bring up Ryan Sandberg.
A lot of things that are impressive in this series. The number 3 and 4 and 5 hitters for both clubs, with the exception of Dawson, who has been struggling, but really the number 1 and 2 guys on both teams, Walton and Sandberg, and on the other side of the coin, Butler and Robbie Thompson. They're having terrific series themselves. Tough to find from an offensive standpoint somebody who's not having a decent series.
Ryne Sandberg, a fly ball double that was lost by Kevin Mitchell and then struck out in the third inning on all breaking balls. And we'll see what they do, first worrying about Walden. Walden stole 24 out of 31. Chuck Cottier taking a look in at his skipper. And Sandberg waiting, hitting .462. And starts him breaking ball, and you could see Sandberg kind of arch his back. He quit on the pitch in the count 0-1.
He doesn't like it at all.
No.
Not at all.
I don't think I've ever seen him act the way he's acting on one breaking ball after another.
He just may not pick up the rotation. Obviously, you can see that left leg give. You can see him arch his back.
0-1. And remember, this is a 6-time All-Star, a fellow who has hit at least once safely in every league championship game, and he really had to bail out and quit on that curveball.
Every curveball he's thrown has been right in the right spot, too, right down and away in the blown away corner.
He pops it up.
He hung that one and missed it.
And it'll be Uribe right there. I wonder if we have that hanging curve, because not every hanging curve is hit out of the ballpark. There are some that hang and are outs, and here's one.
You take a look at it. This is the one that a hitter will go back to the dugout and say, oh, would I like to have this one back. Here you can see the ball out of Garrelt's hands. Remember the other one down by Kennedy's right shin guard? That'll show you what a difference in that pitch is. Oh, Ryne Sandberg would say, I'd like to have just a couple of dozen of those.
So Dwight Smith at the plate. Remember, he's had his leg taped. Single to right and walk. Walden at first, one away. Clark on the bag, and Robbie Thompson shading way off to his right. On the outside corner for a strike. 0-1. Smith last night went the other way 3 times. He went to left field, once a base hit. Prior to that, he had a double to right and a couple of shots in game 1 at Matt Williams. So you get the idea that he uses the ballpark. He will go after it wherever you pitch him. He's not necessarily a pull hitter. And then in the first inning, he got a ball he could turn on and rifled a single to right field.
Well, how many times can you go to the minor leagues and fight 2 youngsters, one to come up and hit and lead off and 1/3?
He goes the other way, but Mitchell is there to pick it off. 2 down, and the batter will be Mark Grace. And every time Grace comes up against Scott Garrelt, you have yourself a major confrontation, and Terry Kennedy is going out to the mound to talk to Garrelt.
So he's going to make contact. The Giants have been trying to make him put it into play to left field.
And he promptly bangs it into right center for a base hit. It gets by Sheridan, and Walden is around third. He will score. Grace is on his way to third, and Robbie Thompson will run it back to the infield. Pat Sheridan tried to backhand it on the dead run and came up with a glove full of empty, and the Cubs now are the tying run 90 feet away. It'll be a triple.
One of the things you have to do from a pitching standpoint is pitch the way that your defense is set up. Here they throw the breaking ball, a pitch that Grace can pull. Butler in center field all the way around in left center. That ball really dead in the alley. Sheridan tried to cut it off, knowing that Smith has excellent speed. But that's a case of the pitcher really crossing the defense up.
Andre Dawson now asked to pick up the tying run. Kelly Downs is up again in the Giant bullpen. Mark Grace against Garrelts is 11 for 16 as he just triples. And there's a drive into right center, and the ball game is all tied up. That's going to go to the fence, and the Hawk goes flying into second base in a 4-4 tie. So But Jerome Walden singled, and 2 outs later, Grace triples and Dawson doubles.
Dawson got a pitch up and out over the plate last night against Lacoste and hit it just about the same spot. Here Geralt leaves the pitch up in the middle of the plate. Dawson just drives it in. You know who's the happiest person in the ballpark? Greg Maddux, sitting in the clubhouse inside and knowing he's off the hook. Mentally, it's just a big relief. Certainly didn't want to go back to Chicago, knowing he's 0-2. He is dead off the hook.
So the tying run brought in by Mark Grace on the double by Andre Dawson. And here is Luis Salazar. He has a home run and a single as he tries to put the Cubs out in front again. 4-4 in the 5th. Ball 1. Mark Grace, by hitting that triple, has 8 RBIs in the series and has hit for the cycle in the series, and Roger Craig might have had enough. No strike count, misses with his first pitch. So the count now 2 balls and no strikes to Luis Salazar. Dawson at second, 2 out. 4-4 tie in the 5th. Fastball, and it's in there. Show you what the Cubs had to do. They had to chase Scott Geralt, the leading earned run average leader in the National League. He was 10-2 at Candlestick Park this year. His earned run average here was 1.5. Change, and he got it on the outside corner. 2-2.
Boy, he gave that away, didn't he?
Really?
You started calling that before it was halfway to the plate. The old hitter and you came out.
The old hitter's right.
Right on the perfect spot. You can see the split finger, and that one an off-speed splitter. But boy, perfect spot. He really slowed his arm down on that one.
2-2. Fastball hit down the right field line, foul and out of play. The deuce is wild on Luis Salazar. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 in, and a runner at second in a 4-4 tie. Geralt is still the pitcher of record, but only to either lose or have nothing to do with it. It's up to Downs. Breaking ball fouled away. That was a pretty good piece of hitting because that pitch really ran away from Salazar. And with 2 strikes, he just went down after it. Fouled it away.
Good experience to stay alive. He hits it foul. We talked about Salazar, a veteran who knows how to play the game of baseball. Now, that is a nasty pitch. That is the mark of a good hitter who can foul it off and wait for a pitch that he can handle.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Sidearm snake that's hit to the right side to Robbie Thompson, and that's the out in the inning. But the Cubs get off the floor. Geralt is off the hook, and we have a 4-4 tie. The Giant lineup, and Steve Wilson ready to go. Clark has singled and doubled and goes to left field. It's slicing, and it's going to land up in front of a sore-legged Dwight Smith, who can't make the play, and Clark is into second. And Smith was limping noticeably going after that ball. They need his bat, but that bad leg, we believe he hurt it in the 3rd inning, is really going to hurt the Cubs defensively.
Clark now 3 for 3 in the ball game. Definitely hurt by Smith's sore leg. He was playing extremely deep. Now remember, Clark's got a bad leg at second base, and it looked from a hitting standpoint, he is simply trying to hit the ball to left field.
A check swing and a shallow fly ball, and Smith will catch it, bad leg or no. Kevin Mitchell checking his swing. It's a fly ball to Smith. 1 down.
Not a very good at bat for Kevin Mitchell. He's sitting against a left-hander. First pitch, you really got to let it go. You can't check swing and make it out on that if you're a hitter like Kevin Mitchell. Certainly it's going to happen.
Salazar is asking Dwight Smith, can you play? I told you he has really been a one-legged man out there this inning. And Salazar is now gesturing to the dugout as if to say, I don't think he can play out there in left field. Zimmer's hollering Mac, And I think Dwight Smith is going to come out. They are calling him in. He doesn't want to come in. But after watching him go after that ball that Will Clark hit, I'm surprised they even allowed him to stay out there when Mitchell came up. So Lloyd McClendon will take over for him. And remember, Marvell Wynn has already been used as a pinch hitter. So they lose a big bat as Dwight Smith hurt his leg in the third inning trying to score from second on a ground ball and has to come out. There you can see Salazar saying, "Are you okay?" And then finally, after doing that, he gestured to the dugout. He can't play.
You want to get Smith out of there so you don't lose him for any longer than just a half a game.
And they are wig-wagging to McClendon to play Williams over more towards the foul line and deeper. So Dwight Smith gone out with that bad hamstring. Scott Sanderson throwing in the Cub bullpen. Matt Williams grounded out and singled. His single with the bases loaded drove in 2 and put the Giants in front in the third inning. Fouled away, 0-1. With Dwight Smith hurt, you realize that suddenly Zimmer cannot get into any extended card playing with Roger Craig. He started Rona, and he hit Wynn for Rona. Then Girardi took over behind the plate. So Wynn is gone. Now Dwight Smith is gone. McClendon, who is basically a third-string catcher and finished up last night's game, is in left field. And that could hurt as the game progresses. 0-1 to count to Matt Williams. And that's in there. Are you a little surprised that they're pitching to Williams? You have the left-hand hitting Terry Kennedy and Pat Sheridan due up next.
We've seen a lot of unusual moves in this entire series. We've seen a couple of intentional base on balls in the first inning of one of the games. We've seen both managers sometimes just simply managing by hunches.
0-2. Inside to crowd him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now you can see Girardi gesturing that he's going to go over the signs again. He gave him that big circular motion. Clark at second, but he's not 100%. He's got a sore leg. Trying to keep that ball inside. Doesn't want Matt Williams to extend the arms where all that power comes from.
Don't know if both those pitches are simply set-up pitches, and he might want to get them away with an off-speed pitch away. Williams would be looking for middle in here. A fastball. He's a fastball hitter. He'll be looking fastball.
He got it and fouled it away. Terry Kennedy on deck. 4-4 tie. Cubs 4 runs, 8 hits. Giants 4 runs, 6 hits. And like last night, a seesaw ball game. 2-2. And Wilson wants Girardi to go over the signs again. On the hands, foul back. He challenged him. Came right in after him, and Williams fouled it off.
Williams, the last couple of months of the season, is more productive than either Mitchell or Clark. Big, strong right-handed hitter. You can see how he likes to extend his arms. Chicago basically trying to pitch him hard stuff in on his hands, hard in, soft away. 2-2. Clark at second, representing a tie-breaking run.
way inside. Boy, he is staying right on top of him, all with hard stuff. And the count 3-2.
One thing that Dick Pohl has talked about is not getting enough of those pitches. That ball is not really that far inside. It's running in on him. Now Williams jumps to get away from it, but they have not established hard in off of the plate in this entire series. Boy, if you want to control the outside part of the plate, you got to show another hitter that you will pop him in off the plate inside.
3-2. And it's hit foul. It was off speed. He took a lot off that pitch. And Matt Williams was so far out in front, he cued the ball into the stands off third base. So after brute strength, suddenly finesse.
He struck me out.
I tell you what.
3-2. I'm looking fastball away.
Whew, what a
good pitch by Wilson.
I should say so.
You know, for a young pitcher to have that much confidence in that pitch, 3-2. But with first base open, a left-hander on base. If you miss, so what? You go to first base.
Fastball fouled away.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing. Soft away and hard in. It's really a perfect situation from a pitching standpoint where you're really not at a disadvantage if you use first base to your advantage. Runner at second, nobody at first. Kennedy on the on-deck circle, a good double play man. Remember, Kennedy does not run well. So this is the one situation we talked about, how counts have turned in hitters' favors throughout the series. Yet with the open base, the count going to 3-2, Wilson is really in a situation where he can throw any pitch that he wants because he's not really hurt with a base on balls.
This is his 10th pitch to Matt Williams. 3-2. Ground ball foul. Boy, did he turn on that fastball. Whoa. Still 3-2.
One thing that every young catcher and every young pitcher should come to realize is, where does a hitter make contact with your fastball? Now look where the bat head is on this fastball. Way out front. That's not a changeup that he hit that there. Remember the changeup that he was way out front, that he hit high left and foul? Williams is getting the fastball out in front of the hitting zone.
3-2. This is the 11th pitch. Fouled away. Do you remember the other night in Chicago? You had that magnificent at-bat where Mark Grace was up there for 12 pitches. Now Matt Williams is up there for his 12th pitch, with Will Clark at second, one out in the fifth, in a 4-4 tie. Steve Wilson came to the Cubs from the Texas Rangers. And again, he wants Girardi to go over the sign.
This is a great at-bat. A great at-bat.
3-2. Line down the left field line in the corner. Gone. Home run. They are cheering in San Francisco, but you know what they're doing in Chicago. They're saying, why did he pitch to him? With one out, a runner at second, and Terry Kennedy, a double play threat coming up. They challenged Williams and paid for it. It is 6-4 San Francisco.
2 pitches before in the entire sequence, he proved that he could get the bat head out on the fastball, and that's exactly what he hit.
Side armor takes care of Kennedy, but that's much too late. That's amazing. That is really amazing.
I'm amazed at the pitch.
I'm amazed that he pitched to him. Now here comes Pat Sheridan, and the horse is way down the road. Ball 1. 1-0 to Sheridan, who has grounded out twice. Giants 6. They have matched the Cubs 2 here in the 5th inning. Another strike. When the Cubs come up in the 6th, they have Dunston, Girardi, and Wilson Spot. 2-1. I remember listening to a couple of scouts from other teams in the National League talking about Matt Williams. And one of them said something we should all remember. He said, "I'm afraid he's going to be as good as I think he can be." Matt Williams. 2-2. Little foul out of play.
Talking about scouts, Ron Schuler, the Oakland A's scout, right down below us. Congratulations to the Oakland A's, who were winners today. Tony La Russa has Schuler working already, has been here through this series watching these two clubs play. He puts the scouting reports together for Tony and his coaching staff. One of the things that Tony talked about, there's Matt Williams, the happy young home run he had.
3-2 the count to Pat Sheridan. It's been a wild game. Each side scored a run in the first. Cubs got a run in the second. Giants with 2 in the third took the lead. Added to it in the fourth to lead 4-2. Cubs tied it. Giants have come back to take the lead. A fly ball to left center. Walton is there to make the catch, but it comes up 2 outs too late. Matt Williams had his moment and made the most of it. Giants 6, Cubs 4.
Sequence of pitches from Steve Wilson. The first pitch, a fastball inside for a strike, fastball away for a strike. The pitches on the right side part of the plate from then on generally off-speed pitches. Fastballs inside. Williams would be on the left side of your screen. Remember how he was popping him on the inside? Look how everything is pretty much on the corner. Whole sequence of pitches, then all of a sudden, bingo, right in the middle of the plate. Fastball right down Broadway, and a 2-run home run.
There's a looper over the head of Clark and lands just fair. Dunston holding it first, and a good save by Robbie Thompson. And so the Cubs try to come back. And one thing we have learned tonight, we know why the Giants have the best home record. And we also know why the Cubs have the best road record. Neither one will back off, and we still have a long way to go.
What a play by Robbie Thompson. See him hustling on that ball? There's Matt Williams with a great play, great hustle on the ball hit by Dunston to prevent him from going to second. Great play by Thompson.
Time called, and there's a few words. Sean Dunston and Will Clark. That's the first time we've had any semblance of disagreement between the two teams. After all, with Roger Craig and Don Zimmer so close, it appeared to have spread to the teams. But now suddenly something was said, and Dunston was furious. Zimmer saying, "What happened? Tell me."
It probably stems from remember the play at second base when Clark went into second? Sandberg turned around and looked at and told the umpire, "Look at Clark. He was pushing up in the air, interfering at second base." That might have been what it's about. There's two very competitive individuals. They'll be left alone over there, too, if they can clean house.
Dunston is furious. Will Clark trying to quiet him down earlier in the game, and it had to be unintentional. Remember, Will Clark unintentionally stepped on Dunston's hand. Now let's see I wonder if we have Dunston going down the line at the bag. I know we were watching that fine play by Robbie Thompson, but you wonder if something happened as Dunston was approaching the bag. Jose Martinez trying to calm Dunston down, but he is furious.
He's arguing with everybody. He's arguing with the umpire, his own coach, arguing. Look at Clark. Clark is still in there. And Zim trying to make amends here. You don't want to lose your shortstop.
You know, things were so nice between these teams when the Giants were at Wrigley Field. Don Zimmer's wife, Sue, passed out orange and black corsages to all of the Giant players' wives. I mean, this really was the friendship games. And suddenly there, a little emotion, and apparently it's by the boards.
Maybe a misunderstanding about something. They became friends again all of a sudden. Well, you don't know if it's the end of it, though. You can see the vein in Clark's neck popping out.
This was when Clark inadvertently stepped on Dunston's hand, but I'm sure this has nothing to do with it.
Totally unintentional.
Yeah.
Just an accident.
I'm just wondering if maybe they bumped at the bag as all eyes were riveted on Robbie Thompson making that smothering save. All right, the tying run is at the plate in Joe Girardi. Giants 6, Cubs 4. Curtis Wilkerson is on deck to hit for Steve Wilson. Girardi got into the game because Wynn batted for Rick Rona. And this will be Girardi's first at bat. 6-4 Giants, top of the 6th. There's nothing to be learned or gained from that because we were trying to get something whether they had bumped each other. But apparently it was just a few words said, one to the other.
A good job by Jose Martinez, the coach at first, to jump in there and save his shortstop. Doesn't want him thrown out of the game. Martinez jumped right in front of Dunston, said, let's cool it. Back off here.
6 runs, 7 hits for the Giants, 4 runs, 9 hits for the Cubs. And he goes on a hit-and-run ground ball to Uribe, who goes to Clark for the out. So Dunston at second with 1 away, and Curtis Wilkerson coming up. Here's Dunston. Watch now. Round first. Stops. Sees Thompson smother. Goes back to the bag. Clark wasn't anywhere near him. The old story, you had to be there. Curtis Wilkerson, a switch hitter, and the second pinch hitter used by Don Zimmer. He has one left-hand hitter available, and that's a switch hitter, Mitch Webster. 1 ball and no strikes to Curtis. Jeff Brandley begins to warm up back at Downs in the Giant bullpen. Popped in the air back a third, and that's where Mitchell hanging out. 2 down. The batter will be the leadoff man, Jerome Walden. There'll be a meeting at the mound about Walden. Gives us a chance. You ever heard of this? I was reading about Matt Williams when he was at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. He was fielding ground balls with a ping pong paddle. The idea being to give you soft hands to make you have some rhythm fielding ground balls. You ever heard of that?
Never heard of that. That's a new one for me.
Neither had I. And that didn't come up. It's going to be a base hit. That ball landed like a poached egg in front of Kelly Downs and just splattered. And it's an infield single for Jerome Walden.
Both of yesterday's starting pitchers were commenting on the bunt plays that they had to field. around the mound, how everything was so soft, not necessarily wet, but soft. This is a very high and thick infield grass in San Francisco, very thick in the outfield as well. There was no life in the ball. Remember yesterday, Lacoste did not field the bunt play with runners at first and second. He would have had Salazar easily, but the ball just never came up.
Now you have Ryne Sandberg with the tying runs aboard. And you figured, and he got it. Breaking ball. Sandberg, pop fly double, lost by Mitchell in the first inning. Struck out and popped up, 1 for 3. So you have Dunston at third, Walton at first. So speed at the corners with 2 out. Ball 2-0.
Sandberg is not going to swing at that breaking ball unless he has to. And to make Kelly Downs prove that he can throw it for a strike. He hasn't been able to get it over to him yet.
Gave him 2 sliders for the moment, and the count 2-0. And now Kennedy out to talk to him.
Might be a little discussion of what kind of pitch we're going to throw here. Kennedy may have thrown.
2 balls, no strikes. And that's going to be hit into left field, falling in a hurry, and Mitchell makes a rolling catch. Near the Chicago Cub dugout. Smitty?
Vinny, it was not a real big deal. You know, in the heat of battle, sometimes when you're doing as well as Will Clark has been and the Cubs are battling, you kind of should keep your mouth shut. I think Will said, in fact, I know Will said to Sean, come on, swing the bat. And Sean construed that as a cutting comment and jumped on Will real quick. I don't think Will meant anything by it, but there's so much tension down here that things like that can get out of hand, and that's exactly what happened. I don't think it was any more than that.
Okay. Candlestick. Lloyd McClendon will start it off. Remember, he had to take over in left field for Dwight Smith.
Put it in there.
Nolan, are you still throwing outside?
She's right. Try low and inside.
For everyone who has ever dreamed. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Terry Kennedy over for Terry Kennedy, who went out for Donnell Nixon as a runner. It'll be Webster, Walton, and Sandberg. And an error in the 9th, and eventually won it in the 11th on a double by Les Lancaster. You can bet both the Giants and the Cubs remember that comeback. Ball 1. Webster, a switch hitter, batting left-handed. Matt Williams plays him on the grass. Clark shortens up at first. Fly ball to left field. Kevin Mitchell is there. 1 down. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Terry O'Neill, the coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage, producer of tonight's game, John J. Filippelli, directed by Andy Rosenberg, replay producers Tom Roy, replay director Roy Alpers, technical director Mike Stremiski, and a low bow from the waist to Elliot Kalb up here in the booth with us. Jerome Walden popped up, flied to left, singled to center, and singled out in front of the plate. So he's 2 for 4. Hard slider, 0-1. Fly ball to Sheridan. And the Cubs now are down to their last out. They will be down 3 games to 1. And they will go up against Big Daddy, the former Cub, Rick Russell, tomorrow. And all the pressure then, especially in this madhouse called Candlestick, all the pressure will be on Mike Bilecki. Here's Ryne Sandberg. Doubled, struck out, popped up, and robbed of a key hit in the 6th inning on a diving, rolling catch by Kevin Mitchell. Strike. And it's hit into right field, base hit. So the Cubs refuse to go quietly, and Sandberg singles to right, and Lloyd McClendon will be the batter. Norm Sherry has already checked in the bullpen, where Greg Lefferts and Steve Bedrosian are, but Lefferts has been throwing, and no doubt Lefferts is getting ready for one man, Mark Grace.
This entire game is really shown what the mettle of these two clubs is all about. Neither one of them have given up. A great 2-out base hit by Sandberg there. They have come back from deficits and hard times all year. They have shown great character.
Small consolation to the Cubs. They have out-hit the Giants last night and again tonight. Well, that's not a payoff window. Slider missed. 1-0 to Lloyd McClendon. He had to take over in left field for Dwight Smith, who hurt his leg, and Lloyd finishing up behind the plate. And Mike Bilecki thinks about tomorrow, no matter all the noise tonight. Ball 2. On deck, Mark Grace. The biggest crowd ever to see a game at Candlestick now sees Roger Craig make his way to the mound. 2-0, the count to McClendon. Francisco, and standing between them, Lloyd McClendon and the Cubs. Now remember, Bedrosian has inherited a 2-ball, no-strike count. And that's going to be a flare into right center, and Thompson can't catch it. On his way to third is Sandberg, and the Cubs are still alive.
Boy, a tough decision for Roger Craig at this point. Runners at first and third. The signs behind the head mean no doubles now. We want no doubles. Here you see Thompson in the glove and just out. Great effort by Thompson. The defense in this situation do not want to give up a double. Then you remember that Bedrosian led the National League relief pitchers with number of home runs given up, 12.
First and third, 2 out in the 9th. Fastball away, ball 1.
You can see how deep the outfield is. Mitchell very deep in left, Butler in center. The double, of course, to prevent the tying run, which is at first base.
1 ball and no strikes. Grace with a triple and a scoring fly ball. Away, ball 2. And on deck, Andre Dawson. It looked as if Lefferts had to be getting ready for Grace, but when Downs fell behind to McClendon, Craig's hand was forced. 2-0. Ball 3. Now 1 pitch away from loading him up, and Kelly Downs sweating it out in the Giant dugout. Luis Salazar and company hoping that they can repeat the miracle of the 20th of July. 3-0. In there. 3-1 to Mark Grace.
Probably taking 1 pitch. Take the 3-0, maybe get the tying run to second. He'll be swinging here.
And he walked in to load the bases for Andre Dawson. The tying run, Lloyd McClendon in scoring position at second. Holding at third is Sandberg. Grace at first, and here's the Hawk. We were saying it at the start of the game. There isn't that much to separate these two teams. One run last night. They split the 12. They split the first two in the LCS. Giants win 5-4 last night, and now turn back the clock 2 years ago. You have the Cy Young winner, Steve Bedrosian, on the mound, and the most valuable player at the plate. But that was 2 years ago. Breaking ball away. Ball one. So Bedrosian has given up a bloop single and a walk, and the Cubs still above water. Boy, that was it. That was reducing the game to the fundamentals. I'll throw it as hard as I can, and you swing as hard as you can. No finesse here.
Boy, that is fastball right down Broadway. Andre Dawson's just swinging right through it.
1-1. Breaking ball. And again, they're on their feet at Candlestick. Half swing, got him. No one escapes it. The years take their toll on everybody. The winning pitcher, Kelly Down. The losing pitcher, Steve Wilson. The hero, Matt Williams. Remember tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for Game 5 with the Cubs against the wall. Mike Valecki and Rick Russell. Stay tuned for local news, except on the West Coast and Mountain Time zones. They'll be seen at their regular time. For Tom Seaver, Vin Scully, good night from San Francisco. Last night, the classic at-bat for Matt Williams versus Steve Wilson. And on the 12th pitch, the 4th game was to be decided. In the 9th, time for desperate measures for a desperate ball club. Sandberg led the way. And then the little pop fly that might have been the final out for the Giants, agonizingly spilling out of Robbie Thompson's glove, and the Cubs were alive. And then the moment of truth, the ultimate confrontation. Cy Young winner, most valuable player, bases loaded, game on the line, and it was over. The Giants exulting in the high of victory, and the Cubs tasting the dregs of despair.